1861. A nation once bound together by their desire to escape oppression was engaged in a civil war over the issue of whether oppression in the form of chattel slavery should be allowed in the United States. President and Commander-in-Chief of the United States at the time, Abraham Lincoln, guided the Northern Union to a decisive victory which would solidify his legacy as one of the great presidents in American history. Lincoln began this war with the primary concern of preserving the nation and reestablishing the seceding Confederate States back into the Union. As the war evolved, however, Lincoln's focus shifted to the freedom of slaves, as this would ensure more Union soldiers. On September 22, 1862, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. This elevated Lincoln to become a symbol of liberation and justice. To honor Lincoln's accomplishments as president, the Lincoln Memorial was built in 1922 to commemorate his legacy, but also to emanate a call for progressive forward thinking, as Lincoln embodied these traits. We went on a mission to examine the memorial for the purpose of analyzing its effectiveness in conveying its message.
5 minutes. Here's 5 minutes.
What was that? Let me see. Right now, let me tell you something. Right here. Speaking here, we're in the Metro Center right now. Right back there. On the Shady Grill. So today we're going to have a special. This guy.
Mic check.
The first thing which the viewer notices about the Lincoln Memorial is its sheer size. When we asked visitors what struck them most about the monument, size was a common answer.
You see it from...
The exterior is rather overwhelming.
Sitting atop a hill and placed in a very central location in the city, the Lincoln Memorial is predominant amongst its surroundings, captivating the viewer and commanding respect and attention. The towering memorial is 190 feet long, 120 feet wide, 100 feet tall, and finished with marble, columns, a statue, murals, and engravings. Placed at the center of many roads, commuters and tourists alike cannot miss seeing the memorial from their walk or drive downtown. From afar, the 44-foot-tall columns are particularly striking, as many visitors cited them as the most impressive piece of architecture.
The columns are always all, they incite awe. They kind of denote respect and honor.
The most notable thing about the architecture of the whole building.
The columns. I really like the columns.
The columns used in the memorial take inspiration from ancient Egyptian and Greek architecture. In both of those cultures, columns were symbolic of power, and the same can be said for the Lincoln Memorial. The size of the Lincoln Memorial and its columns appeal to ethos, as the viewer is immediately made aware of the monument's significance. Due to its grand stature, Lincoln's importance as well as the importance of freedom and progressiveness are well reflected within this piece. On the inside of the monument, the viewer is met with a 20-foot-tall statue of Lincoln sitting in his chair. As the room is dimly lit and filled with murals and engravings, a somewhat sacred space is created as the viewer feels a closer connection to the statue and the values which Lincoln represented. The accuracy of Lincoln's figure and his stoic posture appeals to the audience's sense of patriotism. When observing the statue of Lincoln, the viewer thinks about his accomplishments and is filled with a sense of national pride. The Lincoln Memorial also calls upon the murals of Jules Guerin to illustrate the primary principles of Lincoln's presidency, emancipation and unity. These murals, in cooperation with the engravings found in the room, appeal to logos as they convey to the audience the specific ways in which Lincoln united the nation and helped the war effort, advancing the argument that Lincoln was indeed a great president worthy of such a grand monument. Perpendicular to Lincoln's statue are engravings of the Gettysburg Address and Emancipation Proclamation, two famous works of Lincoln. The two scriptures likely face each other in order to show the duality of Lincoln's involvement in the Civil War. While issuing the proclamation which would free slaves in southern states, Lincoln was simultaneously trying to keep the Union together as one, even in the face of civil war. The Gettysburg Address reads, "Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure." The main message of the Gettysburg Address is that ideals are worth dying for, and that it is up to the living to carry on the work of those who died to protect ideals. That message is carried throughout the monument as it calls for visitors to pursue their own values and put forth an effort to maintain unity within the United States. For the most part, the monument is more representational than abstract. However, Lincoln's statue could be seen as a metaphor, as he looks as though he is almost watching over the city as he faces outward towards the reflecting pool in Washington Monument. Lincoln's positioning also allows the audience to take in the environment surrounding the monument, as they're able to note the trees and grass on either side of the reflecting pool, or which can be found in the pool itself. The Lincoln Memorial could be considered less effective than when it was first built, as the 48 states displayed around the top of the memorial do not include Hawaii and Alaska, as they were added to the United States after the construction of the monument. Visitors from those states, when viewing the monument, might feel less connected to the memorial, as they are not fully represented. However, residents of the mainland states can feel a sense of patriotism and inclusion as they see their state engraved in the top of the monument. Ultimately, the grand stature as well as the important details of the monument are what make such an effective appeal to the audience's sense of patriotism. U.S. citizens walk around this memorial that is interconnected with many others from D.C. and get to witness the success of the United States through a lens that is more breathtaking than any book could display. Because of the rise of the tourism industry, the monument attracts more viewers from all across the country and foreign countries, expanding its audience, and has become one of the most iconic monuments of Washington, D.C. and the United States.